shadows of history.
What if a naval agreement existed between two of the world's most powerful fleets, yet somehow vanished from public history? The story begins in 1946, inside the quiet storage rooms of American Naval Archives in Washington, D.C. Among thousands of wartime documents, historians occasionally discover files that seem incomplete, reports missing pages, memoranda with entire paragraphs removed, and correspondence that references operations never fully explained. One such document contains a brief but intriguing phrase, Harbor Coordination Protocol. The file appears to reference joint logistical planning between the United States Navy and the British Royal Navy shortly after World War II ended. But strangely, the rest of the report has been removed. No official agreement with that title appears in the published records of either government. Yet fragments remain, references to strategic ports, supply corridors, and quiet naval cooperation during the uncertain years immediately following the war. Could this be evidence of a forgotten program known internally as Silent Harbor? Tonight, we begin tracing the clues hidden inside decades-old archives. To understand the origins of Silent Harbor, we must return to the final years of World War II. By 1943, the naval alliance between the United States and Britain had become one of the most coordinated military partnerships in modern history. Allied convoys carried food, weapons, and fuel across the Atlantic Ocean, while German submarines attempted to sink them beneath the waves. American destroyers and British frigates often escorted the same convoys, sharing intelligence and coordinating movements through joint command centers. Ports across Britain hosted American warships, while British naval officers operated inside American naval planning headquarters. This cooperation was not just diplomatic, it was operational. Ships from both nations depended on shared logistics, shared maps, and shared intelligence networks. By the time the war ended in 1945, their fleets had become deeply integrated. Yet when peace arrived, the question remained: what would happen to the infrastructure of that cooperation? Would the alliance simply dissolve or quietly evolve into something more secretive? The end of World War II did not bring lasting peace to global strategy. By 1946, tensions between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union were rising rapidly. Military planners began to worry that the oceans, once dominated by Allied fleets, could soon become contested battlefields again. Submarines, long-range bombers, and intelligence networks were transforming naval warfare. In response, defense planners from both the United States and Britain began quietly discussing how their fleets might coordinate operations in a future crisis. Some historians believe this is the moment when the idea behind Silent Harbor first appeared. Rather than a public treaty, it may have been a logistical understanding, a system allowing Allied ships to access strategic ports, share intelligence quickly, and coordinate patrol routes across major oceans. These discussions were never publicly announced, but scattered documents suggest that naval planners were exploring ways to maintain wartime cooperation without formal political agreements. If Silent Harbor truly existed, it likely functioned as a hidden logistical network connecting key naval ports across the Atlantic and beyond. Military planners understood that in any future conflict, the speed of naval deployment could determine victory or defeat. Ships needed reliable access to refueling stations, repair docks, and intelligence hubs spread across strategic locations. Documents from the late 1940s suggest that American and British naval planners were already studying how such a network could operate. Ports like Norfolk in the United States, Gibraltar in the Mediterranean, and Bermuda in the Atlantic appear frequently in Cold War logistical planning papers. These locations formed a triangle of strategic naval access points. Through coordinated planning, fleets could move between these harbors rapidly while maintaining operational secrecy. Whether officially labeled Silent Harbor or not, the structure of this system suggests that wartime cooperation may have quietly transformed into a permanent strategic network. By 1950, naval strategy had entered a new era defined by stealth and nuclear deterrence. Submarines capable of traveling long distances beneath the ocean's surface had become one of the most powerful weapons of the Cold War. Reports warned that Soviet submarines could threaten shipping routes connecting North America and Europe. Protecting these routes required constant patrols, rapid communication, and coordinated naval responses across thousands of miles of ocean. This is where Silent Harbor becomes particularly intriguing. A system of shared harbor access and logistical cooperation would allow Allied fleets to maintain continuous patrol coverage across the Atlantic and Pacific. Destroyers, submarines, and reconnaissance aircraft could operate from multiple bases without waiting for diplomatic approval during a crisis. If such a network existed, it would have provided a strategic advantage during one of the most tense periods of global military competition. When historians attempt to trace Silent Harbor through official archives, they encounter a familiar obstacle: missing information. Many Cold War documents remain partially classified even today, while others were heavily redacted before release to the public. In several naval memoranda from the early 1950s, references appear to coordinated harbor access agreements between Allied fleets. Yet the details are missing. Entire paragraphs are blocked out, leaving only fragments of context behind. Was this information removed because it contained sensitive military planning, or because it referenced a program that was never meant to appear in official history? For researchers, these incomplete documents raise more questions than answers. Silent Harbor may never appear in a single official report. Instead, its existence may only be inferred through the scattered traces left behind in redacted files and logistical planning documents. Strategic ports have always been the backbone of naval power. During the early Cold War, certain harbors became especially important due to their geographic position along major shipping routes. Gibraltar controlled the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea. Bermuda sat directly along Atlantic convoy paths. Norfolk served as one of the largest naval bases in the United States. If Silent Harbor was a real operational system, these locations would have been essential nodes within its network. Ships could move between them quickly, refuel, exchange intelligence, and continue patrol missions without interruption. Such flexibility would allow Allied fleets to maintain constant presence across critical ocean corridors. In the tense strategic environment of the early Cold War, this type of coordination could mean the difference between preparedness and vulnerability. Beyond logistics and port access, intelligence cooperation may have played a central role in Silent Harbor. During World War II, British and American intelligence services worked closely together to break enemy codes and monitor military communications. This partnership continued during the Cold War, evolving into one of the most extensive intelligence-sharing relationships in modern history. Naval Signals Intelligence Units monitored radio transmissions across oceans, tracking submarine movements and shipping activity in real time. By sharing intercepted data quickly, Allied fleets could respond to potential threats before they became dangerous. If Silent Harbor facilitated this process, it may have acted as a communication bridge linking naval intelligence stations across continents. Through secure channels, information gathered in one harbor could be transmitted instantly to ships operating thousands of miles away. Why would such a system remain hidden from public history? The answer may lie in the delicate political environment of the early Cold War. Governments were cautious about revealing the full extent of military cooperation before formal alliances were fully established. Public knowledge of secret harbor agreements could have created diplomatic complications or triggered political debate at home. By keeping these arrangements informal and classified, military planners could maintain operational flexibility without attracting attention. Silent Harbor may therefore represent a quiet chapter of strategic planning, one that operated behind the scenes while official alliances were still taking shape. History often survives not as a complete narrative, but as fragments waiting to be rediscovered. The story of Silent Harbor may never be fully confirmed. Perhaps it was simply an internal planning concept, Or perhaps it represented a quiet but crucial system that helped maintain naval cooperation during the uncertain years of the early Cold War. What remains undeniable is that traces of such coordination exist scattered throughout military archives. As more documents are declassified in the future, historians may finally uncover the truth behind these references. Until now, Silent Harbor remains one of those intriguing historical shadows, an operation that may have shaped global naval strategy without ever appearing in the official record. If you want to explore more hidden operations and forgotten chapters of world history, subscribe to Shadows of History.